All right, my friends, here we are. And I think that now that you understand the basics of JSX pretty well, I want to expand your knowledge. So, in this video, we're going to start to move on to our next topic. So, let's talk about what we're going to be learning in this video and pretty much in the next couple or three. All right. So, three big important concepts for us to understand: component nesting, reusability, and configuration. These are all tenets of the React applications. So let's talk about each one of these in turn, and we'll go through a couple of quick code examples. So first off, component nesting. So far, all the code that we have written, we've only been creating one component at a time. But for a real React application, we usually make many different components. So when we make many different components, we're going to nest them, or essentially place them inside of each other, to make an actual usable React application. So we're just going to very quickly start to look at a couple of examples of how we nest different components inside of each other. And the next thing we're going to start to talk about is component reusability. I want you to think about a typical web application that you might use every day. Chances are you use a web application that has some buttons or text fields or menus inside of it. And I got a quick question for you. No, this is not a quiz, but just think about it. Do any of those buttons ever really look different from each other? Chances are they don't. Just about every button inside of a single React application is going to have some similarities or identical functionality. It's going to show some text and then do something when the user clicks on it. So rather than making a separate component or essentially write out some different code for every single button or every single menu or every single text input that you might put into an application, we instead can make use of reusable components, or little pieces of code that can be reused several different times inside of a single application. And then we'll take a look at a couple of examples on how we might achieve reusability. And then finally, very tightly coupled with usability, component configuration. So I just gave you the example of a button, right? Now, most buttons will look very similar, but there's tiny little pieces about every single button that need to be customized in some very specific way. For example, one button might need to have the background color red, and another button might need to have the background color blue, and both of those buttons might need to do different things. So we need to make sure that when we create different components, we have the ability to somehow customize them when they are created. Okay, so these are the three big topics that we're going to start in, each with their specific video. So take a pause right here if you need to, and in the next section, we're going to talk more about these three things.